Getting back to the point you mentioned at the beginning there, the pressure that they face, because the catalyst for this rule change was an effort by the gun control group Everytown to pressure them alongside the Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, to make these changes. That this was not something that came about organically or something that was an internal effort by YouTube itself to identify issues in the space and correct them or what have you. It was an outside pressure campaign that did include, a letter from a district attorney, a government official with prosecutorial power. Now, it didn't involve a law change or a lawsuit or anything like that, or criminal charges against YouTube or anything, but it did involve this government pressure campaign, and this pressure campaign from the officials aligned political groups. So, what do you make of that? How much does that concern you, or do you think that's just part of the? I mean, obviously, this happens on the other side as well, but I'm just interested in.
Yeah, I mean, it's concerning.
It adds a level of concern.
Sure, it's concerning. And I think, especially in light, we just had a Supreme Court decision come down in favor of the National Rifle Association in a First Amendment case, right? Involving an elected official putting pressure on someone else not to do business with this person. And so I think under that precedent, we could go back to this district attorney and I think there's grounds for legal action there. If somebody wanted to get involved in that suit, this is an elected official putting pressure on a private company to put pressure on other private companies like this one, like mine, to not do business with that company, or it will cost you. And you have prosecutorial powers to do that and legislative powers to do that. And that was declared, 9-0. The court was not, there was no split here. There's no dissenting opinion. Goodness gracious. I believe Sonia Sotomayor wrote the opinion on it, for gracious sakes, saying, like, how much did it have to gall her to say the National Rifle Association is right? She's no NRA fan for sure. And yet, I actually think that's a beautiful thing that she said, no, when they're right, they're right. And we don't say somebody's wrong because when they're not, when we don't like them. We say that they're right when they're right, and they're right here, and you can't do that.
I definitely think there's some parallels there. I don't know that, obviously the NRA case, there was sort of explicit threats, allegations of explicit threats of additional government retaliation if they didn't drop the NRA, and they were pretty explicit about the reason they wanted the NRA to be dropped is because they didn't like their political beliefs. So I don't know if Bragg's letter fits that, but it does seem in the same sphere, right?
I agree. I don't think it's the same spirit. I would say we're in, I wouldn't say we're not in the same ballpark necessarily, but we're in the same league.
At least from what we know, there may be things that come out there because there's a lot of what's at stake in that NRA Supreme Court case were behind closed door meetings. She sent public letters like Bragg did in this situation, but she also is accused of having these sort of intimidating behind closed door meetings with these insurers in the NRA situation.